feel like I haven't done a Marvel-centric video for a while, so I thought why not do one on all the upcoming future projects. What specifically I'm excited for, and some speculation about what we'll see in Phase 4 when a lot of the current actors step away. Are all these movies going to be good? You know what? I don't know. But Marvel has a decent track record, so there's a reason to be optimistic. Also, if you want, stick around to the end to win a loot crate and find out who won the one from last Sunday. But you don't have to enter or stick around. Feel free to leave anytime. Just know that you're missing some incredibly insightful comic book movie commentary. Doctor Strange. Looks pretty good. Comes out soon, relatively soon. Look, I'll be honest, this is a terrible one to start on, as I don't really have that much to say. I've done some trailer breakdowns and speculated about how this movie will change the universe. But I guess in summary, what I'm looking forward to the most is the introduction of flat-out magic and how that will change the dynamic of the Avengers. Also, I'm looking forward to seeing what role Thor will play in relation to Stephen Strange in his upcoming movie, but I'll get to that in a minute. Guardians of the Galaxy is easily one of the best Marvel films, in my opinion. And I think a lot of that stems from that it's afforded certain freedoms being set so far away from the goings-on of Earth, and the majority of the audience not being familiar with this team. Hopefully the magic that was captured in the first one extends to Volume 2, which will be adding additional team members like Yondu, former villain Nebula, and Mantis. Groot has also undergone some changes as he sprung from a twig after he's sort of not really death, and apparently is more childlike but still retains most of his former memories. And there'll also be a kind of exploration of this. You know, a sort of, is this the same character as before, or has his rebirth altered him significantly? Also, Kurt Russell is playing Ego the Living Planet. I'm very curious to see how this will work. Whether he's acting as some kind of Wizard of Oz style planet pilot, or if he can create human avatars in the form of Kurt Russell in order to explore other planets. Regardless, I love how off the wall Guardians is able to go, and how James Gunn embraces the silliness of the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe in such a creative way. I mean, he had the stones to include Howard the Duck. What a bloody legend! Howard the Duck is proven cinematic poison. Spider-Man Homecoming is the first time in a long time that I've been looking forward to a Spider-Man movie. I've said this before, but I was sick of watching what felt like the same Spider-Man film again and again. Plus the last two really felt so, I don't know, made by committee. But after Tom Holland's appearance in Civil War, in what amounted to an incredible cameo, I am totally on board. I wasn't thrilled at first to hear that he's going back to school, but at least this time they've cast an age-appropriate actor. I never for a second believed either Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire were high school students. Not that they did terribly in the role, but it's good to be past the whole, oh yeah, this guy's clearly a 30-year-old pretending to be a teenager. This movie is said to draw inspiration from the Harry Potter series and the John Hughes teen movies from the 80s. Also, the inclusion of Michael Keaton as the villain, probably the Vulture, is a great piece of casting. Also, it's not a bloody origin story. It's nice to know that the studio have assumed that everyone is up to speed on Peter Parker's beginnings. And if you're not, well, you know what? You can figure it out via context. Good. Great. Next thing. What excites me the most about Thor Ragnarok is the director behind it, Taika Waititi. You may know him as Ryan Reynolds' best friend from that Green Lantern movie that tried to kick off the DC Extended Universe, but was so distinctly average that we won't be seeing Green Lantern again until Warner Brothers reluctantly peddles another movie out because they made the vague promise that they would. But also he's responsible for Flight of the Conchords, Boy, What We Do in the Shadows, and Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yeah, and I'll never stop chasing you. I'm relentless. I'm like the Terminator.
I'm more like Terminator than you.
I said it first. You're more like Sarah Connor. In the first movie too, before she could do chin-ups.
It's hiring guys like these that emphasizes to me that Marvel aren't just getting someone who they know can just peddle out a film that the studio wants, and then the result of which is, say, a Thor the Dark World. Though I was initially concerned, a little bit, not that much, that this would be some kind of screwball comedy. I'm kind of past that point. Firstly, even if it is, Taika Waititi does comedy really well. I mean, just look at the way he's been messing with people on Twitter. Also, this movie is actually a Planet Hulk film, which is fantastic! Though I think a big part of the reason they're doing this is because Universal have partial rights to the next Hulk solo film, so Marvel just went, okay, right, yep, we'll just call it a Thor movie and then just put Hulk in it. Sneaky, very good, clever, I like it. Also, I love the combination of characters idea, and I'd like to see it more in future movies. Why not just take 2 or 3 Avengers and have them go off in their own little adventure? It doesn't have to be, this is the Iron Man movie, this is the Captain America movie, this is the Thor movie, now we have an Avengers movie. You know, we're kind of beyond that. Also, set photos have indicated that Odin will turn up as some kind of hobo, no doubt Loki's doing as he sits on the throne of Asgard, and some people have even labelled him Hoboden. And it looks like Thor will be visiting Doctor Strange. I want to see how that plays out. Is this like a post-credit scene? Did it happen during the movie? I don't know. Very intriguing. It's very intriguing. Okay, Black Panther. What do you say? He was one of the best aspects of Civil War. I was a bit worried that his involvement would have been overshadowed by Spider-Man, but that really wasn't the case at all. This role was cast really well, and Ryan Coogler, who's only 30 by the way, is 2 for 2, and the perfect choice to direct. I really want to see more of Wakanda, and rumour has it that Bucky is going to be thawed out and will play a pivotal role in the movie. And we'll probably see Andy Serkis's villain Claw again. You know, one of the only roles he does that's not motion capture. I barely recognise him when he's not in one of those dumb suits. Avengers Infinity War is like the culmination of all things in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Very little is known about it at this point, beyond that Thanos will feature as the main antagonist. Finally, all those Infinity Stones have been force-fed since the first Avenger will hopefully pay off, and we can stop bloody hearing about them. Plus the Guardians of the Galaxy, as confirmed by Vin Diesel, will be joining forces with the Avengers. A couple of things I really want to see in this movie. 1. Captain America standing face to face with Thanos. A man defiant in front of a practically invincible intergalactic monster. And then he's like, I'm a shield, help! And I also want to see Peter Quill and Steve Rogers interact. I think they genuinely get along, especially because really, they're both men who are out of time, but for different reasons. You know, one was frozen, one went to space. I think there could be something done with that. Now, this isn't my most anticipated film, because like I said, we don't really know that much about it, and it still feels so far away. But sure, another Avengers movie, why not? Sounds great. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Okay, I think I'm in the minority here when I say I didn't love the first Ant-Man. Don't get me wrong, it's a fun movie, and Peyton Reed did a fantastic job stepping in at the last minute to take on directing duties, but it just felt a little pedestrian at times to me. There are elements of it that I really like. All the Michael Douglas stuff. I would love to see a movie version of the young Hank Pym going on adventures in the early days of S.H.I.E.L.D. Paul Rudd was also charming as usual, and the action was pretty great, but I think there's a whole lot more that could have been explored in terms of his powers. I mean, the best Ant-Man stuff is in Civil War, and hopefully we'll get some more variation in Ant-Man and the Wasp in whatever year that comes out. What is it, 2018? Okay, sure, sounds great. But 2019 brings us Captain Marvel, where we recently got the announcement that Brie Larson will be taking on the role. She's great, right? That's not just me? I hope not, because Marvel really aimed high on this one, and after performances like in Short Term 12 and Room, Larson is a really good get. There's not a lot we know about the project, other than they're looking for a female director, and that the origin will be changed as the studio feels it's too similar to that of Green Lantern. Maybe they'll steal from Kamala Khan's. I don't know. Also, Captain Marvel was initially to appear in Avengers Age of Ultron, but the role was removed. I'd be surprised though if we didn't see her in Infinity War. Okay, last one that we know about, Avengers 4. This was to be Infinity War Part 2, but now, I don't know. Its working title is Great Lakes Avengers, but I doubt that that's relevant at all. Apparently it's not the second part of a 2-part scenario started with Infinity War and will be a different expression, whatever that means. I think it might also act as the kicking off point for Phase 4, as it'll mark the final chapter for a lot of the original actors as their contracts are up. Of course, some of them may very well renegotiate and kick on, but maybe we'll see the likes of, say, Robert Downey Jr. step away, at least for a little bit. Let's talk about the future though. I think Marvel are building this wide variety of characters to avoid the jam that the Fox X-Men movies have kind of gotten themselves into. That being that they don't have to rely on a single actor or character like Wolverine to prop up the universe. I think we'll be getting a very different team of Avengers from here on out. The way that in the comics the roster is constantly shifting. I guess what they're doing is kind of testing for what people go for in the films leading up and then go, yep, people like Strange. Okay, so he's the new leader of the group, you know, or whomever. As far as other movies, I think we'll continue to see films based loosely on popular comic book titles. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a variation on World War Hulk. You know, he's all back from space and angry or whatever, except they'd have to find a different way to do that. Since he's in the comic, he's forced into exile by some of his allies, and that drives his rage, but in Age of Ultron, that was really his own doing. I think there's a very good chance we'll be getting another Civil War. The sequel comic is currently running, and it's surprisingly good. That would also give Captain Marvel an opportunity to take the lead, maybe opposite Iron Man, but I wouldn't be surprised if they swapped him out for someone else instead. If we get elements of time travel, there's a bunch of stuff we could potentially see. Alternate timelines, like the original Age of Ultron comic did. Spider-Verse, which I'd be very much in favor of. I actually did a video on that a while back. That's really more of a dimensional thing though. I think Old Man Logan would work. And I know that's weird because Marvel don't own that character and Fox are already sort of doing it, but just hear me out, because the majority of characters in that story are still with Marvel. So you could just swap out Logan for Captain America or something. I mean, he worked in a post-apocalyptic world in that Planet Hulk spin-off sequel, even though he had a ponytail, because that was overshadowed by the fact that he rode a bloody dinosaur. And if I'm honest, I'd rather see an Old Man Logan movie without Wolverine at Marvel than a Fox Old Man Logan movie with Wolverine. Maybe that's dumb. I don't know. Marvel Zombies is possible, but I'd say unlikely, though the Russo brothers have said that Captain America 3, if it was not going to be Civil War, may have very well included a variation on zombies. These movies, though, are traditionally a more family-friendly affair, with the more brutal stuff reserved for Netflix. And we haven't even got to the Netflix stuff! What's gonna happen there? No time for that now. I think this video has gone on long enough. Let's do the Loot Crate thing. Okay, so if you want to win, leave any comment below, maybe on what movie or character or story you're most excited about, or even a prediction for where you think this universe will go. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, here's last week's winner. Just private message me these details, and it's all yours. Alright, so if you're interested, I have a podcast called The Weekly Planet that's linked below, where this Monday, we're doing another very popular Superhero Showdown episode, where we pit two characters against each other, as chosen by you, and then we determine who will win in a roundabout and often infuriating way. It's a lot of fun. I mean, for me it is. I enjoy it. Okay, thanks for watching this though. Take care.